Hola, hola. Yahweh almost unalived Moses on his way to Egypt at a lodging house. And Zipporah, his wife, quickly did a blood ritual and saved Moses' life. Yesterday, we were talking about this, and it seemed so bizarre. And my mind, I had to find out about this incident where Yahweh almost unalives Moses. After he eats Moses at the burning bush, tells Moses to go to Egypt. He gives Moses the magical rod, and then he almost unalives him. Let's find out what this is about. So I asked ChatGPT, and here's how I frame the question. I'll show you the exact prompt. How you loving, how you loving, how you loving? Come on in. We are reading the entire Bible and the Apocrypha and the parts of the pseudepigrapha. Not because we think the Bible came from God. The exact opposite. We know that the Bible did not come from God. Well, I've come to that conclusion. Everyone here, pardon me, gets to come to their own conclusions. Hold on, hold on. Hold on. Gets to come to their own conclusions about that. I am not home. I am traveling, as you can see. So if I look a little sleepy, I am from the flight last night. And you'll see all about it today. I'll post pictures of where I am and what I'm up to. All right, let's get the answer. Pardon me. Here we are. Hold on. Here's the prompt. The prompt is very important with AI. You must give it parameters. The AI is religious. The AI never, sometimes doesn't want to give you the truth. It wants to give you more of the mainstream story. I'm talking about ChatGPT. And pretty much all AIs, we ought to treat it like it's a baby because that's what it is. It's just figuring out things. It gets things wrong. It puts things out of context. So when I work with the AI, I give it context. And here's the exact phrase. Here's my prompt, because the prompt is what do Bible scholars, notice I said critical Bible scholars and not apologetic by biblical scholars. I'm framing it and I'm putting it in context that I don't want to hear the religious people who continue to say that everything in the Bible is history and everything in the Bible is accurate because the Bible came straight from the word of God, from the mouth of God. I've heard that story all my life. I'd like to go beyond that story. What do Bible scholars make of this strange passage in Exodus chapter 4? On the way, and then I pasted it straight in from the World English Bible. On the way at a lodging place, Yahweh met Moses and wanted to kill him. What? Then Zipporah took a flint, cut off the foreskin of her son, and cast it at his feet. And she said, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me." So he let him alone. Then she said, "You are a bridegroom of blood because of the circumcision." What does this mean? Well, here's the reply. Critical biblical scholars generally regard Exodus 4:24 through 26 as one of the most enigmatic and archaic passages in the Hebrew Bible. The story is only 3 verses long, yet it contains who exactly is Yahweh trying to kill? Well, it says he's trying to kill Moses, AI. What do you mean, who is he trying to kill? It says that. It says, Yahweh met what Moses and wanted to kill him. That's pretty clear, AI. I'm not sure why you're asking that question. Why does circumcision stop it? That's a reasonable question. Why does Zipporah touch the foreskin to his feet? And what does bridegroom of blood mean? Now, in the passage, I couldn't tell. Yesterday, before I did this exercise and finding more about what is a bridegroom of blood, and what is this whole blood thing, and what is this whole ritual thing? What is this thing? What a Bible scholar is saying about this thing that I've never seen in the Bible before, even though we all were forced to read Exodus many times. I never saw it. Well, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, maybe we didn't know what it meant. I couldn't tell from the story and the way the story is worded if Zipporah cast the foreskin at the feet of Yahweh or if she cast it at the feet of Moses. So here it is. Why does Zipporah touch the foreskin to his feet? It's in quotes. Who's the his? And what does bridegroom of blood mean? Here are the main interpretations in critical scholarship. I want critical scholarship, not apologetic scholars. Apologetic scholars are the ones who will try to prove the Bible is true no matter what. Like they're holy rollers. They have an agenda, pardon me, and the agenda is to prove Christianity. That's their agenda. And sometimes they have wonderful things to say. And sometimes I'd like to hear other perspectives. So I don't rule them out completely. I don't rely on them solely. So I don't exclude them, and I don't hold them in a special category as those are the only ones I'm supposed to listen to. And I do know that there are a lot of Christians who only listen to certain apologetic pastors and scholars that go to divinity schools that continue to teach the whole message of Christ and the Bible is straight from God and all of that. That's religion. I'm not a religious person. I'm a spiritual person. So that's my take on it. And what your take on it is completely up to you. Of course, everyone here is God. And I remember that as best I can, that everyone here is a godling spirit, as I heard from someone say the other day when I was on a speaking engagement, spirit with skin on, right? Spirit with skin. That's everyone here, fully capable of coming to conclusions that are perfect for you and your soul walk and your spiritual unfoldment. Number one, so what is this? Number one, a very ancient ritual fragment. Many scholars believe this passage is a surviving fragment of a much older ritual that was inserted into the Moses narrative. Remember, the Bible is drawing from many different sources in Near Eastern culture, history, geography, legendary figures. It's drawing from many places because it's right in the middle of all these places. And because the people who wrote the Bible have been subjected to many different nations anyway. So they got to learn those nations intimately, like Egypt. Then later on, it came the Assyrians, then the Medes and Persians. No, actually, it was Assyrians and then Babylonians and then Medes and Persians, right? So they and Babylonians, when they were under Babylonian, oh no, maybe the Persians were before Babylonians. I'll get that order for you. They were in the midst of many, 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 many different cultures. And they were actually in the Babylonian captivity when the Babylonians took over. The Babylonians bought the scribes, the elite, the priest, all of those of Israel, they brought them to Babylon and trained them in their sacred arts, rituals, history. And Babylon, it was all about Marduk, or Marduk, however you desire to pronounce it. Marduk was the royal, the supreme god of Babylon. And they even had a festival every year where, and these are the scribes. The scribes are soaking in this for hundreds of years. This is where the Bible was written. Parts of the Bible was written, or after the captivity, they came back and they began to rebuild their culture because the first temple was gone. So that's one example of the Bible writers being soaked in neighboring cultures or conquerors. Just like Black Americans are soaked in American culture more than we're soaked in the culture of Nigeria. Some of us don't even know the culture of Nigeria. We had to learn it. Nigeria, Mali, Togo, Benin, all of the places where they picked up the human beings who were subjected to heinous crimes against humanity, of which we are the resilient children. If you are here and you came and your ancestors came through that, you are probably some of the strongest people on this planet. You are the most resilient people on this planet. So, because humans we can be extremely cruel and extremely oppressive and extremely hateful. And we can also be extremely loving, kind, and compassionate. We have the full range of potentialities within us. And we just choose which ones we want to activate. Well, because humans are like that, at times you have heinous crimes committed against groups of people. African people, Jewish people escaping Germany, escaping Poland, people in Russia escaping. People all over the world have had these, where there's no civilization that is untouched by the potential that came into full expression of the evil and the hatred that is inside of humans that can be expressed, very sadly, on this planet. We've had it over and over and over and over, and we have it again right now. So it is for us to raise our consciousness above this. So I say all these things to say that we will not understand many of the things in the Bible if we don't understand history, if we do not understand the wars that occurred in that region, if we do not understand what were the Bible scribes soaking in, the biblical scribes, the people who wrote this, what were they soaking in? So now let's come back to what the scholars say about a bridegroom of blood, this ancient blood ritual that saves Moses' life. Scholars such as William H.C. Propp and Brevet Childs note that the Hebrew language here is extremely archaic and abrupt, suggesting the text preserves a pre-Israelite or early Israelite ritual tradition explaining circumcision. That's one way of looking at it. I don't think it's that, but that's one way of looking at it. The theory is that story once functioned as an ideological myth. This is a story that explains why we do a certain thing, right? In other words, someone was threatened by a divine being, circumcision was performed, the blood averted the danger. That was not convincing to me. Let's look at what else it could be. Number two, Yahweh was trying to kill Moses. Most scholarly view, as you can see here, this is not what most scholars would put forth, and it doesn't sound convincing to me. Yahweh was trying to kill Moses. Why modern critical scholars think the text means Yahweh intended to kill Moses? That's exactly what I read. Why? Because Moses had apparently failed to circumcise his son, violating the covenant of circumcision established in Genesis 17. That doesn't quite make sense to me either. When Zipporah circumcises the boy, the danger disappears. So the logic becomes Moses neglected a covenant requirement, Yahweh attacks him, Zipporah performs circumcision, the threat is removed. This interpretation treats the story as a warning story about covenant obedience. I don't buy that one either. Y'all let me know which one sounds right to you. One, two, or we have a few more. Okay. Number three, a vestige of apotropaic blood magic. Many scholars emphasize the magical or ritual nature of the act. It is a ritual. The key idea: blood repels divine or demonic danger. This is consistent with other Near Eastern practices where ritual blood averts divine wrath. I think we're getting somewhere here with Near Eastern practices of blood. A later biblical parallel appears in Exodus 12, where lamb's blood protects Israelite houses during the Passover plague. We know about that one. So in this reading, Zipporah uses ritual blood to ward off Yahweh's attack. I don't think this is wholly true. I do see, hey, maybe there's a thread of something here that we could pull on to get to the truth. Number 4, the feet may be a euphemism. Do you understand that Bible scholars are just as perplexed about this little 3 or 4 lines that are dropped in that are just explosive? Wait, what? What did you just say? Like it's just dropped in like a bomb, sitting there. And you're just nicely reading, thinking that Moses and Yahweh are friends. Moses is Yahweh's best bud. Yahweh loves Moses. And wait a minute, he's going to do the thing you told him to do, and now you're coming after him in the night while he's in the lodging place with his wife and his sons? It's not logical. The feet may be a euphemism. In Hebrew, the word feet, raglav, can be a euphemism for genitals. Many scholars therefore interpret the act as Zipporah touching the foreskin to Moses' genitals. This may symbolically transfer the circumcision to Moses, who might not have been circumcised himself, a possibility some scholars consider. Another possibility, she touches the child's genitals with the foreskin, completing the ritual. The grammar is ambiguous, which is why scholars debate this point heavily. I can see why there would be a big debate around number 4. Number 4 is sort of like she does the ritual on the baby. She touches it not to Moses' feet, but to Moses' groin, and says to Moses, "You are a bridegroom of blood to me." So it's a symbolic circumcision of Noah. Noah. What am I talking about? Noah. Noah's back in Genesis. Noah's over, Val. Of Moses. Get your Bible characters right. Okay, let's go to number 5. This sounds fascinating to me. Zipporah as the ritual expert, only because I'm a ritual expert. So through all the ages, you have always had ritualists, people who, by the way, let me know if you all see how you loving, how you loving, how you loving. Isn't that the truth? He loves Moses, he loves Moses not. Isn't that the truth? Because guess what? You can't make one wrong turn with this God. You cannot make one wrong turn with this God. I do have something for y'all for Witchy Wednesday, so you're gonna love it. Okay. And I do not see it on the screen, so I'm wondering, hold on, let me see if I can get it pulled up for you. I have a QR code that takes you to, oh, boom. Okay, let me move this QR code over here. Can I move it? Okay, I have a QR code, and if you click on that QR code, I'll bring it up on the screen later. I have a QR code with some deliciousness for Witchy Wednesday. So just remind me to put it back up on the screen, okay? So I don't want to have it on the screen while we're reading through our synopsis from different Bible scholars, okay? It's Witchy Supplies. Yay! Okay. Zipporah as the ritual expert. We are still on screen share. Excellent. One fascinating feature scholars point out, this is fascinating to me because I am a ritual expert. This is Witchy Wednesday. This would be great if it's aligned. Oh my goodness, I would be so happy. When Zipporah, the Midianite woman, understands what to do, Moses does not. Moses was raised in Egypt. Then he leaves, he flees. So I guess he's on foot or maybe he's hitchhiking. Hey, can I get on your donkey? Hey, can I get a ride on your? I know I'm all dressed up with, you know, I look like an Egyptian prince, but I'm not. I promise you I'm Hebrew. Can I just ride in like the back of your chariot or something? I don't know how he got from Egypt all the way to the land of Midian. Did he walk? Did he ride a donkey? Did he get in a chariot? Did he walk along with a bunch of other people? Who knows? We don't get that part of the story. So somehow he goes all the way from Egypt to Midian. And it's not like today where you just, hop on a plane like I did last night and come hundreds of miles away from where you started in an hour, a couple of hours, in less than 3 hours. No, that's not it. So they're saying, okay, in this story, because remember, this whole thing is a story, it never happened. So we're trying to make we're trying to make heads or tails of what was in the scribes' minds as the scribes were writing these stories. What was in their minds? And we don't know who wrote the Bible, so we can't ask them. Plus, they're long gone. We could maybe get in touch with them in the spirit realms, which would probably be a really good idea for us to do. Can you tell me what you were thinking when you wrote Genesis, Exodus, any of the Bible books? This has led some scholars to speculate, the story reflects a Midianite circumcision tradition. Perhaps the Midianites were the ones who had circumcision. Remember that Moses lived among the Midianites, and his father in law, Jethro, is a priest. Some scholars therefore see the story as hinting that Israel may have adopted circumcision from neighboring cultures. So her father is a priest. She may or may not be a priestess. Either way, she knows all the things to do. I could see that there's some validity to that. Number 6, bridegroom of blood, Hatan Damim. The phrase Hatan Damim is unique in the Bible and poorly understood. They don't even really understand what these words mean in Hebrew. Anyway, 3 major interpretations exist. Wow, we have 3 possible interpretations of these 2 words because people don't know what the words are. And I find it fascinating that even Hebrew speaking people do not know exactly what the words mean. However, I can understand it because we're talking about ancient Hebrew, which is nothing like modern day Hebrew, just as Old English is nothing like modern English. A person could be speaking to you in Old English and you would literally think they're speaking another language. If you've ever read any passages in Old English, it's almost indiscernible, almost incomprehensible, and not meaning that it's bad, just we can't comprehend it. Some scholars think the phrase reflects a circumcision marriage ritual. That's A. In some cultures, in some ancient cultures, circumcision marked a boy's entry into adulthood and marriageability. Zipporah may be saying something like, through blood, you become a true husband. Well, wouldn't he have already been a true husband when she married him? You're marrying the daughter of a priest. Wouldn't they already have done all the rites and rituals? You can't just walk in, marry the priest's daughter, and don't go through all the rituals and rites. So that's shaky for me. B, circumcision blood covenant. Others think it refers to blood establishing covenant kinship, meaning now you are bound by blood. I circumcised my son, I touched the foreskin to you, and now we're good. I think that would have already happened if this was a real story and you were really marrying. It's like you go and marry the pastor's daughter. You're not just going to walk in the church and marry the pastor's daughter and you're a hoodlum unless the daughter is totally rebelling against the mother and father or whatever. If you go and marry like TD Jakes and Sarah Jakes and her husband, you're not going to just walk in and marry Sarah Jakes and you just roll it in any old kind of way and you don't get with the program. You align. You are aligned. That's how you are able to marry her, because the father was probably already looking at Moses in the story saying, oh, you helped water this might be a good man. Right? In the story. We can imagine that in the story. C, a ritual incantation. Some scholars suspect it may have originally been a ritual formula or spell spoken during circumcision. You are a bridegroom of blood to me. I could see that. 7. So that was 6. 6 is bridegroom of blood, Hatan Damim. We know what it means. So here's some possibilities. Let's go to number 7. I see some merit in 6. I see some merit in a few of these, but I don't think any of them are giving us an answer yet. A narrative that barely survived editing. Many scholars note how strangely the story sits in the narrative. Now we're not Bible scholars and we noticed that. Yes, Bible scholars, you are right on that count. It is very strange. How do you just drop this thing in the middle of a story? We're on one story, and then all of a sudden you drop this thing into. And what's very fascinating about this bombshell being dropped into the middle of Exodus, last night I was just thinking about it like, how did I miss that Yahweh? It's like Game of Thrones. I'm like, how did I miss the plot twist in the story? I never saw it coming. These scribes have the best plot twist because I never saw that coming. And I'm seeking to make heads or tails of Moses is doing what Yahweh wants him to do exactly and precisely. And Yahweh comes to kill the only one who he deems to be the one to save the people. And isn't Yahweh's intention to save the people? So I guess you're going to have to find Aaron or somebody else to go save the people, even though you equipped Moses with the magical staff, you gave him the confidence, you gave him a side buddy, you gave him everything he required. And he's doing it. And Yahweh says, I'm coming for you. It's so creepy. Okay, let's go to number 7. Possibility. A narrative that barely survived editing. Many scholars note how strangely the story sits in the narrative. The flow of Exodus goes, Moses is commissioned by Yahweh. Moses travels back to Egypt. Suddenly, Yahweh turns him. That sounds so crazy to me. Y'all can see that I'm really grappling with this part of the Bible. What? And here's another piece that I was just going to say a moment ago. You actually don't need this piece of the story in it. You don't need this for the flow of the story because then the story just picks up and keeps on going. So why do we have this part of the story in the Bible? A scribe could have easily just jettisoned that out of the Bible, and the story essentially of the Exodus would have remained the same. This story doesn't change the narrative. So why is it there? Why is it deemed critical enough to keep with all its strangeness? I love this because, wow, I love this. Zipporah performs circumcision, or Zipporah, however you'd like to say her name. The story ends abruptly. Nothing like this happens elsewhere in the Moses story. Because of this, scholars often conclude the episode is an ancient tradition that editors preserved, even though its meaning had become obscure. I get that. I get that. That the scribes wrote it, said, we don't really know what this means, yet it must be important because it's in here. So we're just going to pass it along. I'm just doing my job here. What most critical scholars agree on. Across interpretations, there is broad agreement that the story is very ancient. So this part of the story was obviously pulled from perhaps Midianite culture, which they would have been very familiar with. Perhaps this part of the story was pulled from someone else's culture and dropped into this story. It likely reflects early ritual beliefs about circumcision and protective blood. It may preserve pre Israelite or non Israelite traditions. Its original meaning was already unclear to later biblical editors. So maybe the biblical editors, the redactors who redacted the Bible and got rid of things and changed things and all that, in the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th centuries BCE, when they were redacting the Bible, they kept it in. A striking theological detail. One reason the story fascinates scholars. It portrays Yahweh as attacking his own chosen prophet. Boom. Which really drives home the point. This ain't God. There is no moral explanation in the text. We don't know why Yahweh came for his neck. This reflects an early biblical worldview where the deity is unpredictable and appeased through ritual acts, which would be that fits the Anunnaki perfectly. Can be very dangerous. Humans cannot quite predict what they're going to do, and they are appeased through acts of ritual obedience and sacrifices of various kinds. If you like, I can show you something fascinating. Many scholars think this story preserves a memory of an even older figure. Now we're getting somewhere, Chat GPT. I went through, I can see that part, I can see that part, not that part. I like that part. That part resonates. This part, there's a lot of parts to the puzzle. So you have to determine which parts of the puzzle are you looking at to say that. Let me know in the comments. Let us all know what parts seem plausible to you, because putting together what happened in history, ancient history, is not an exercise in what happened. Tells you definitively this is what happened in history. They're lying, because historians tell you all the time that we are not approaching, we can't approach certainty with something that happened 3,000 years ago. We are what's most likely to have happened. What has the highest probability? What is plausible considering the circumstances, the evidence, even numismatic evidence, the coins that people were using, what was on the money? Those on the money, those are huge clues, because of course people back in those days, they didn't use paper bills like we do today, fake money. They used actual real coins like gold, silver, copper, things like that. We get that evidence. What did the people cook with? And we look at their pottery and see that there are blessings inscribed on the pottery. So when you're cooking your food, the blessing is into, these are ritual people. We see shrines, homes, we see goddess figurines everywhere. Goddess figurines everywhere. Many scholars think this story preserves a memory of an even older figure, a desert demon or night attacking deity that later became identified. This gets me to thinking in the realm of Lilith. Like that fits Lilith. She's a dark goddess. She's an entity. Some would call her a demon. Some would call her an evil spirit. Jewish people are very concerned with Lilith because their worldview about Lilith is that she comes and takes children and she wants your baby. And so they guard against that. That's crib death. Lilith took them. So that later became identified with Yahweh. So what I said, oh, that theory gets very interesting and connects to other strange passages in the Hebrew Bible. You know me, I can't resist that. Yes, what is that theory? Do tell about this desert demon that comes. Some critical scholars propose that Exodus 4:24 may preserve a memory of an older chief in a dangerous night-attacking divine or demonic figure, one that later editors simply identified with Yahweh. So there was some kind of predator, and later it syncretized with Yahweh. This idea emerges from comparative studies of ancient Near Eastern religion and from noticing similar patterns elsewhere in the Hebrew Bible. Let's unpack the theory. The night attack motif in ancient religion. In the ancient Near East, people widely believed, when I got to this part of it, I said, oh, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. People widely believed in night demons or divine attackers who could ambush travelers while they slept. Whoa, okay. Tell me more. By now, my ears are all perked up, TBT. You had me at hello. Typical features of these traditions include a sudden attack during travel or at a lodging place. Well, that fits the motif. A threat to life or fertility. That fits the motif. A ritual action involving blood that averts the danger. That fits the motif. A spoken formula or incantation. She's had to say the words, the spell, you are a bridegroom of blood to me. And she said it again, you are a bridegroom of blood. She said it twice. Scholars such as William H. C. Prop and Tikva Freimer Kinsky note that the Moses story fits this pattern remarkably well. Moses is traveling. The attack occurs at a lodging place. A ritual involving blood stops the attack. A formulaic phrase is blood. This looks less like a theological narrative and more like a ritual folk tale explaining how to ward off a dangerous supernatural being. Now that sounds on the money to me. But I'm a magical person. I'm a ritualist. So that would make sense to me that there's some ritual history. I don't want to say lineage. There's some ritual history to this act. This whole scene is very old and it's based on something. Yahweh in early Israel could be dangerous. No kidding. In very early biblical traditions, Yahweh sometimes behaves less like a consistently benevolent God and more like a volatile desert deity whose presence can kill. Amen. Examples scholars often point to include Exodus 19, people who touch Mount Sinai die. 2 Samuel 6 through 7, Uzzah dies instantly for touching the ark. Oh, wait till we get into the Ark of the Covenant stuff. Numbers 16, Yahweh destroys rebels with sudden violence. Genesis 32, Jacob wrestles a mysterious divine being. And we found out about that. The divine being touches his hip, and then, for the rest of his life, he's walking with a limp but he got a new name, Israel, he who wrestles with God. These episodes reflect an ancient religious worldview where contact with divine power is inherently dangerous. Could we say it's not that contact? Do you see how the AI is whitewashing this? Do you see the whitewash? These episodes reflect an ancient religious worldview where contact with divine power is inherently dangerous. Contact with divine power is not inherently dangerous. That's not what I get from these. I get from these fear and trembling of these super unpredictable, powerful beings that could off you at any moment and that did off people on the regular through all manner of means, including spreading disease, era epic. I was just listening to the era epic yesterday, including spreading disease, and including poisoning water supplies, including wars, nuclear bombs, all the things that we see them do today. No, contact with divine power is not inherently dangerous. These beings could be very dangerous. Not all of them. Many were benevolent and many were hella dangerous. Ninurta, Enlil, hella dangerous. Will drop bombs in a second. Will spread some poison gas in a minute. Let's get rid of these people. Humans. They were like, we bioengineered them. We can get rid of them. Genocide, mass killings to them were nothing. Do you understand the consciousness of some of these Anunnaki people? This is not divine power. These are dangerous Anunnaki. Possible memory of a protective blood rite. Some scholars believe the story originally explained a protective circumcision ritual performed for male travelers or children. The logic may have been something like, they're making this up now. They're making it up. The logic may have been something like a supernatural being threatens male life or fertility. I don't get that Yahweh is a supernatural being. He was following him on the road and he came in to try to kill him. If you are a God, as I read in the comments, you don't need to follow someone and try to kill them. You attempted, but you didn't succeed. You're not God. And this is the same God that brought everything into existence with a word. No. Circumcision blood protects against the danger. The ritual phrase invokes protection. They made that up just from looking at the passage. And I like that. They just took what was in the passage and made up a protective blood rite. I'm okay with that, except that's not what I get from it. Blood marks protection from divine destruction, except Yahweh's not divine. A similar figure, the destroyer in Passover. This is interesting. In the Passover story, the killing force is sometimes called the destroyer. Pardon me. This is intriguing because the text suggests Yahweh sends the plague, but a separate destructive being carries it out. That reflects an older idea where divine destruction might be carried out by an aged or demon like force. It wasn't divine destruction. The divine doesn't destroy any of its children. We do that well enough on our own. We destroy each other well enough on our own. The divine doesn't have to bring the apocalypse because we are the apocalypse. We have unalived, religion has unalived more people on this planet than any other force. We're doing a great job. We've had the apocalypse many times. So, well, Revelation is not a prophecy, but we are not at Revelation yet. We're still in Exodus. Number 5, the story may have been edited. Critical scholars who study the documentary hypothesis often note that the Exodus contains layers from different traditions. It is existed about a night demon attacking a traveler. Our ritual involving circumcision saved him. Later editors incorporated the story into the Moses narrative. The attacker was identified simply as Yahweh. Because the editors preserved the story but did not fully rewrite it, the result is the strange and abrupt passage we have today. Zipporah is the one who knows the ritual. Another detail that fascinates scholars, Zipporah, a Midianite woman, understands exactly what to do. Moses does not. This may hint that the ritual tradition came from Midianite or desert religious practices, which Moses encountered while living among them. Some scholars even propose that Yahweh worship itself may have had early connections to Midian or Edom, a theory explored by historians of ancient Israelite religion. Why the passage was preserved. Even if later editors did not fully understand the story, they likely preserved it because it explained the importance of circumcision. It was connected to Moses' life story. It was already part of ancient oral tradition. So rather than remove it, they simply left the mysterious fragment intact. I could see that happening, that they leave it intact to show you better get circumcised. You better become the bridegroom blood. You better undergo this ancient blood ritual. Okay. And we have to do it on the 7th day after you're born. Okay. Like I did it with my son. My son is about to be 40 years old next year. And I did it with my son. I thought that was the thing you do on the 3rd day, circumcise a child. That was religious. I didn't think better. Why scholars love this passage. Exodus 4:24 through 26 is often cited in academic biblical studies because it reveals layers of ancient religion preserved in the text. This is one of the reasons why I love the Bible, love the Bible. Wait a minute, I have to come off screen share for this because this is one of the biggest reasons I love the Bible. Hold on. If you haven't smashed up the likes, if you haven't smashed the shares, if you haven't commented, get in here, get in here, get in here. Okay, smash up the likes, smash up the shares, and make sure to subscribe. Here is one of the reasons I love the Bible because it preserves for us Egyptian lore, Midianite lore, and rituals, Assyrians, Babylonians, Sumerian, Anunnaki, all of that is preserved in the Bible for us. And this is why I call the Bible humanity's library. This is our library, not a holy book, a book that contains so many cultures and events that affect our world view today that it warrants, even an atheist can study this. And I think there are many people that turned into atheists once they got into biblical scholarship. I hear a lot of Bible scholars say that, yeah, I deconstructed after I learned the truth about the Bible. I was in church and then I went to school. And church might say, see, school, reprogrammed you and got you away from Jesus. No, when the veil is lifted and you go deeper and deeper and deeper into understanding of these scriptures, you start to say, oh, wow, these are not Bible. These are not God stories. These are not God stories. Wow. Okay. I was told these are God stories, and they're clearly not God stories. Dia, It seems to me like the writers keep using the word Yahweh to refer to any being of status. In the same way, the word Lord was used to refer to the masters as well as the gods. Interesting. And there is a video on my TikTok where I break this down. So go to the Christian Witches TikTok. I will put a link to it here. There's a video on the Christian Witches TikTok. I'm going to drop the link to it right here in the chat. TikTok, Christian Witches. Let's go to the Christian Witches TikTok. Be sure you are following and connected with the right Christian Witches on TikTok, because there's fake accounts. And here is the correct one. Here are fakes. This one is a fake. This is a fake. Could be some fakes. Then there are actual legitimate Christian witchcraft. This Christian Witch in the Craft, this is a legitimate Christian Witches TikTok. This one is not. This one's not. They're probably DMing people right now talking about, I'll do a reading for you. This is the official Christian Witches TikTok. And I will give you here, you will see I have playlists for you. XJW play, Christian Witches events. God's not in the Bible. Real God's not in the Bible. Hell, I have one on hell. Constructing religion. And a lie. There's no such thing as hell. They made it up. 7 words from the ancient Hebrew. Just let me give you the. They're not in the Bible. It's just simply is not. And people were flabbergasted. I want the link. Copy link. And I'm going to put it here for you on YouTube if you would like to go to the Christian Witches TikTok and follow the Christian Witches TikTok. Connect, comment. Oh, the comments over there on TikTok are just amazing. This one's got over 1,000 comments. It's shocking. These comments, they're just amazing. And these 7 words that I show you Elohim, I show you Yahweh, I show you Adonai, pardon me, I show you 7 that are all translated God, and none of them are God. None of them are God. So you're absolutely right, Dia. We are critical thinkers around here. Let's continue with Exodus. So we're done with, listen, okay, stop for a moment. So there you have it. We don't still have a conclusive answer. Why it's extremely old, extremely enigmatic, extremely disturbing passage placed right here in Exodus. It's very disturbing. I'll leave that to you. So we have some ideas from scholars. I think the bottom line is we don't know. No one knows. We're seeking to put together, and I love scholars who come up with different ideas because they have context. They understand, they studied the Midianites, or they've studied ancient rituals, or they know about Near Eastern literature. So I like that. It gives us a broader perspective to draw from so that we can come to conclusion. I haven't come to any conclusion about this. I'm just as perplexed as I was when I started. So I cannot tell you the answer because I don't know the answer. All right, let's continue. Exodus chapter 5 and 6. Let's go. Bible Gateway. And the reason that we are using the World English Bible, I tagged it for you. Oh, before we go into Exodus, let me share something. I said I was going to share with you. It's Witchy Wednesday. It's Witchy Wednesday. And I said I was going to share with you. Something wonderful. Okay. So that's the QR code. And I want you, I, mm, oh, move right. Oh, great. I can move it to the right. Okay. If you're watching on TV, because YouTube is all over TV now, all over TV, TV. So if you're watching on TV, or even if you're watching on anything other than your device, you might be watching on a computer, you might be watching on a tablet, just take your phone and point it at that QR code. And the QR code is going to take you to my Witchy Wednesday. Oh my goodness, I just love this. Hold on, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to show you where it will take you. It will take you to my Witchy Supplies um, list that I curated on Amazon. This is not books. These are the Witchy Supplies that I use. Man, I go through Florida water. I just ran out of Florida water and I got more coming. I got to order more when I get back home. I won't be home for a few days. So probably for a week. I don't know. I bought it 1 week. So you know how I roll. I roll with spirit. So Florida water, everything on here I have. So I'm not telling you to get things I don't have. Everything on here I have. This is tested by Reverend Val. These are so good. Bundles with the flowers, the sage bundle with the lavender. Like you can get sage everywhere and anywhere. Just go, in where I live in Miami or where I frequent in Miami. Baby, every CVS and Walgreens and grocery store is a magic shop. Because, baby, we praise around here. When I say pray, I don't mean, oh, please, God, give me this. I don't do that. I'm talking about we do ritual work, we do altar work, we are spiritual people, and we approach life from a spiritual perspective. That's exactly why I'm doing the ritual with all of us on the winter solstice. Good Lord, doing another ritual on the winter solstice, on the spring equinox. So I'm talking about unusual sage bundles. This has a cinnamon. Oh my goodness. These lavender. I got these sage bundles and I was in love. I used some of these sage bundles in Christian spell kits. As far as I know, I'm the only one on the planet that makes Christian witchcraft spell kits that are at the Christian Witches Convention. Currently, they're not available online. They're only available for purchase at the Christian Witches Convention. And maybe every time we have everything, it's gone. It's gone. Everybody buys everything. Well, I have this singing bowl. I have this witchcraft kit. I have this. I have this on my altar. You probably have seen it. Pardon me. So get your witchy on. Pardon me. This particular Palo Santo, wild harvested in Peru. I love that Palo Santo. I have these crystals. I have this book. Pardon me. I have this cauldron. Baby, I got all this. So I don't tell people to buy things that I don't use myself. Pardon me. So if you want to know where the QR code takes you, that's where it takes you. Let us now go on screen share for Exodus chapters 5 and 6. Dun, 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 dun. At least we do know the end of the story that Moses didn't get unalived by Yahweh, at least not then. Sheesh, Moses. You really had to go through it, Moses. I didn't know that your own God was trying to kill you. Good gravy. Screen share. Oh no, that's not the screen share I want to go to. I want to go to the Exodus screen share. Y'all tell me what Reverend Evelyn, you learned about Florida water and envisions. I got to tell y'all something about our intervisions experience. A lot happens at intervisions that I will not talk about in It's not for public consumption. You have to go and have your own experience. And in one of our experiences, very intense, our class realized that we didn't have with us super handy in the moment. We had them here and there, the go-to things that are required for certain experiences, spiritual things. And so we made a juju bag. We made a class juju bag. And we were like, okay, if anything pop off in here and people are asking for this and asking for that, we got it. Okay. Baby, we had the liquors because one takes vodka and one takes rum and one takes these spirits. One wants honey. What? Don't worry, whatever pops off in here. And that's what I'm saying. Be prepared. Get your Florida water, get your Palo Santo, get your sage. You can get your sage, pure sage, or you can get your sage with lavender, give it a different spiritual energy and essence. You can get your sage with roses, sage with cinnamon, bringing that abundance. You know, witches have been using cinnamon for abundance, Greek seeds for abundance, and drawing the money and all of that for probably thousands of years. Thousands of years. Why? Because it works. Because it works. All right, our juju bag was a toolkit on wheels, baby. Let me tell you, you need that. I think the class juju bag originated either with the line before us or with our line, because somewhere in there, does every line still do a class juju bag? Because baby, you need it at Intervisions, and you're gonna deal with some real spirits, and you need to. Oh, you only have your mobile device? Excellent. Thank you, Dia, for asking that question. Yes, there is another way to do it. I will put the link here in the chat, and I will also put the link in the pinned comment today. Okay. Because it's Witchy Wednesday, and I just want to bring you something lovely and witchy about spiritual practice that helps us all grow in our witchcraft and magic every Witchy Wednesday. So if you're watching on a TV or anything other than your device, you can use the QR code. If you're on your device, you can use the link here in the chat. If you are watching the replay, not the replay, if you're watching this, whenever you're watching it, if you're not currently live, even though when you're watching it, it's still live, because you're here with us live whenever you're watching it. Isn't that magical? Then you will see it below the vid in the pinned comment. Thank you for using my Amazon links. Thank you for supporting the global work of Christian. Thank you for being so kind, and for all of you just supporting the work as you do. Thank you to all the members. Thank you to everyone who buys the books. Thank you to everyone who's registered on the Kickstarter to be notified when the book is ready on paperback and hardcover. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I so love you for supporting this work and for being a friend of Christian Witches, Valerie Love, the channels, and everything that we do. Thank you. I gotta say that. I gotta say that. And I also want to make sure that you are, let me tell you something. People started registering for this ritual the day I did it. I think I'm actually going to learn more about the blood rituals. I think I'm going to learn more about that so that I can help people with that. Our next ritual is on the spring equinox coming up. On the spring equinox is a video about what it is. These are some of our candle burn. This is a candle burning ritual. I will be burning a candle for you in the ritual. This is wealth and abundance, my favorite kind of ritual. The money uncrossing ritual. You can actually still get the money uncrossing ritual and perform it yourself. This is the Hyros Gamos ritual for love. We did this on the summer solstice last year. This is just a snippet from the Zoom with us in our rituals. As you can see, packed. They're always packed. Our rituals are always packed, and I love that about our global community. So if you are not yet in this ritual, let me drop the link. It's next week. Get in there, get your spot before we have everything go up, because we can only fit a certain amount of people in Zoom. You can keep just you. I haven't sent out the notifications yet of the people who won the tarot reading. So just register, and when you'll know if you got the tarot reading when you register. Yet, um, register. That's the most important thing. Okay. Not the emails yet to all the people who registered and got the tarot reading. Yay! They're going to receive them a couple of days before ritual. Yay! Let's go to Exodus chapter 5. Exodus chapter 5. Screen share. I must say, this new way that I'm working with the screen share works better than the other way of the screen share. Oh, there's one more thing I want to say before we read Exodus 5 and 6. And because we gave commentary at the beginning, we don't need commentary again at the end. So we'll keep the commentary brief because we're already at an hour. Okay. There's just so much to say about this. It's just so much. I feel like we could do one chapter of the Bible a day and talk about it ad nauseum for 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, it would take us 5 years just to get through the Bible, right? Like we got to somehow move along, and we still also have got to have the commentary. We're balancing that. We're balancing examination and moving through. It cannot take us 10 years, family, to read the Bible. If we take it one half a chapter a day, because you really could. And in that half a chapter, you could see like 5 or 6 things to talk about, right? Oh my goodness. Yes, thank you, screen share. We put the blessings in we got screen share right because it was going a little wonky there. We had to get screen share all the way together on side. So I am balancing momentum and examination, because you certainly can't examine these texts by reading like 5 chapters at once. And we can't spend 2 days on one chapter. So we've got to balance, we've got to walk that path of navigating both a pretty thorough examination and still moving through the text. Let's go, because we got a lot of ground to cover. We have a lot of ground to cover. Here we are, Exodus. We are in the World English Bible. We're in the World English Bible. World English Bible. Chapter 5, the World English Bible is a public domain Bible, not in copyright. Afterward, Moses and Aaron came and said to Pharaoh, "This is what Yahweh, the God of Israel, says. Let my people go, that they may hold a feast to me in the wilderness." Hold on, let me make sure that we're on the right. Yes. Pharaoh said, "Who is Yahweh? I should listen to his voice to let Israel go. I don't know Yahweh, and moreover, I will not let Israel go." They said, "The God of the Hebrews has met with us. Please, let's go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and sacrifice to Yahweh our God, lest he fall on us with pestilence or with the sword." The king of Egypt said to them, "Why do you, Moses and Aaron, take the people from their work? Get back to your burdens." Pharaoh said, "Behold, the people of the land are now many, and you make them rest from their burdens." The same day Pharaoh commanded the taskmasters of the people and their offers, "You shall no longer give the people straw to make brick as before. Let them go and gather straw for themselves. You shall require from them the number of the bricks which they made before. You shall not diminish anything of it, for they are idle. Therefore they cry, saying, 'Let's go and sacrifice to our God.' Let heavier work be laid on the men, that they may labor in it. Don't let them pay any attention to lying words." The taskmasters of the people went out with their officers, and they spoke, saying, "This is what Pharaoh says. I will not give you straw. Go yourselves, get straw where you can find it, for nothing of your work shall be diminished. So the people were scattered abroad throughout all the land of Egypt to gather stubble for straw. The taskmasters were urgent, saying, fulfill your work quota daily, as when there was straw. The officers of the children of Israel, whom Pharaoh's taskmasters had set over them, were beaten and were asked, why haven't you fulfilled your quota both yesterday and today in making brick as before? Then the officers of the children of Israel came and cried to Pharaoh, saying, why do you deal this way with your servants? No straw is given to your servants, and they tell us, make brick. And behold, your servants are beaten, but the fault is in your own people. But Pharaoh said, you are idle. You are idle. Therefore you say, let's go and sacrifice to Yahweh. Go therefore now and work, for no straw shall be given to you, yet you shall deliver the same number of bricks. The officers of the children of Israel saw that they were in trouble when it was said, you shall not diminish anything from your daily quota of bricks. They met Moses and Aaron, who stood along the way as they came out from Pharaoh. They said to them, may Yahweh look at you and judge, because you have made us a stench to be abhorred in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants, to put a sword in their hand to kill us. Moses returned to Yahweh and said, Lord, why have you brought trouble on this people? Why is it that you have sent me? For since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has brought trouble. You have not rescued your people at all. Chapter 6. Yahweh said to Moses, you shall see what I will do to Pharaoh. For by a strong hand he shall let them go, and by a strong hand he shall drive them out of his land. God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am Yahweh. I thought you said I am that I am. Anyway, I appeared to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob as God Almighty. Translation of that is El Shaddai. El Shaddai does not mean God Almighty. El Shaddai means the Lord, or the El, or the judge, or the magistrate, the El of the step, or the El of the plain, or the El of the mountain. That's what El Shaddai means. And it is translated in our Bibles as God Almighty. It does not mean God Almighty. But by my name, Yahweh, I was not known to them. How is it that they didn't know your name? Anyway, I have also established my covenant with them to give them the land of Canaan, the land of their travels in which they lived as aliens. This, what you're reading right now, is fueling the war that we are seeing. Genesis and Exodus are fueling the war that you are seeing, because people take this and go to war. I have also established my covenant. Okay, I read that already. Moreover, I have heard the groaning of the children of Israel, whom the Egyptians keep in bondage, and I've remembered my covenant. Therefore, tell the children of Israel, I am Yahweh, and I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rid you out of their bondage, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. I will take you to myself for a people. I will be your God, and you shall know that I am Yahweh, your God, who brings you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians. I will bring you into the land which I swore to give to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, and I will give it to you for a heritage. I am Yahweh. Moses spoke so to the children of Israel, but they didn't listen to Moses for anguish of spirit and for cruel bondage. Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, go in, speak to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, that he let the children of Israel go out of his land. Moses spoke before Yahweh, saying, behold, the children of Israel haven't listened to me. How then shall Pharaoh listen to me when I have uncircumcised lips? Yahweh spoke to Moses and to Aaron and gave them a command to the children of Israel and to Pharaoh, king of Egypt, to bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. These are the heads of their fathers' houses. The sons, now we go into genealogy. The sons of Reuben, the firstborn of Israel, Hanak, Palu, Hezron, and Carmi. These are the families of Reuben. The sons of Simeon, Jemuel, and Jamin, and Ohad, and Jachin, and Zohar, and Shaul, the son of a Canaanite woman. These are the families of Simeon. These are the names of the sons of Levi according to their generations: Gershon, and Kohath, and Merari, and the years of the life of Levi were 137 years. The sons of Gershon, Libni, and Shimei, according to their families. The sons of Kohath, Amram, and Izhar, and Hebron, and Uziel, pardon me, and the years of life of Kohath were 133 years. The sons of Merari, Mali, and Mushi. These are the families of the Levites according to their generations. Amram took Jochebed, his father's sister, to him as a wife, his aunt, and she bore him Aaron and Moses. Why did I not know that Aaron and Moses came from incest? Is this Game of Thrones? Are we talking about Targaryens here? Uh, Okay, please forgive me because just in the moment, I'm having experiences. I'm just having experiences. Just reading the text with you all, something about this reading. Why did I not see all these things before? Okay, anyway, we've read this 50 million times. Didn't we read Exodus 50 million times when we were in Christianity? I thought we did. Apparently, we did not. So, please be patient with me because I'm just having experiences. Like the energy of these words is just okay. Let's continue. Amram. Let me make sure I read that. Wait. Let me fix my eyes. Hold on. Amram took Jochebed, his father's sister, to himself as wife, and she bore him Aaron and Moses. The years of the life of Amram, 137 years. The sons of Izhar, Korah, and Nepheg, and Zikri. The sons of Uziel, Mishael, Elzaphan, and Sithri. Aaron took Elisheba, the daughter of Aminadab, the son of Nahshon, as his wife, and she bore him Nadab and Abihu, Eleazar and Ithamar. Oh, we know them. That's going to be some trouble coming up. The sons of Korah. Oh, we know them. Asir, Elkanah, and Abiasaph. These are the families of the Korahites. Eleazar, Aaron's son, took one of the daughters of Putiel as his wife, and she bore him Phinehas. These are the heads of the fathers' houses of the Levites according to their families. These are that Aaron and Moses, to whom Yahweh said, "Bring out the children of Israel from the land of Egypt according to their armies." These are those who spoke to the king of Egypt to bring out the children of Israel from Egypt. These are that Moses and Aaron. On the day when Yahweh spoke to Moses in the land of Egypt, Yahweh said to Moses, "I am Yahweh. Tell Pharaoh, king of Egypt, all that I tell you." Moses said before Yahweh, "Behold, I am uncircumcised. I am of uncircumcised lips. And how shall Pharaoh listen to me?" Did y'all notice again the abrupt change in tone from Yahweh and Moses are having an argument to genealogy? Wait a minute. We're in the middle of an argument here. And here enters in the person. It's like an intermission. And here comes the part of the play where a person brings a big scroll and starts reading genealogy again. What is with you guys in this genealogy thing? Gracious. Okay. Let's recap. Why didn't we see that before? I never saw that. Did any of y'all see that? God morning, God morning, God morning. Come on in. So happy y'all are all here. So happy y'all are all here. Oh my goodness. Oh, thank you so much, Dia. I think you're doing a great job of achieving the balance. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Because sometimes I'm like, oh man, I would love to spend a lot more time on this. Yeah, we got like 65 more books to go, plus the Apocrypha. We got probably like 80 more books to go. Why didn't we see these things before? It's mind boggling. It's absolutely all the gobs are smacked, all the flappers are aghasted, just gobsmacked, flabbergasted. What is this book? This collection of books? This is it's bipolar. It's bipolar. One minute we got this, next minute we got this, next minute we're back to this. Okay, here's something that I want to say about the people, this story they're making up about Egypt because they made Egypt the villain. None of this happened. There was no pharaoh that ever did this. If you went to a job right now and you worked at a construction site and y'all were building a building, and all of a sudden the people that were overseeing the project told you, we're not giving y'all cement today. Go find the raw materials of cement, make your own cement, and come build our building. But give us the same amount of productivity. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. The next thing that doesn't make sense is you cannot just go in and see the pharaoh anytime you want to. That's not how pharaohs work. You can just go in, and all of these people are all having an audience with pharaoh at any time. That they're just, you can tell this is a made up story because they're all just entering pharaoh's palace willy-nilly, complaining. First, Moses and Aaron just walk in. Now these are some Midianite people, all dusty from the road. I don't know how, if they walked or if they were riding in their little donkeys and wagons or whatever. These people, dusty people. It, and here's my question: when Moses presents to Pharaoh, you don't hear Pharaoh saying anything about, hey, how you doing? You grew up here. You don't hear them saying anything about, hey, could you explain why you killed the guy and buried him in the sand? No. Did we forget that just happened a couple of days? Well, maybe not a couple of days ago. It happened years ago. What? Maybe Pharaoh doesn't recognize Moses because he's been gone for a few years? Like, I'm trying. I'm really trying. Okay. So then this shows us the ridiculousness of all religion. This shows us the ridiculousness of all religion. The more I read the Bible, the more I say, how does anyone think that you're supposed to live your life by this? It shows us the ridiculousness of religion. All right. We saw it through a different lens, I guess. You're absolutely right. Jehovah and his people are perfect lens. That's exactly right. And we were bamboozled in that one, weren't we? We were bamboozled on that one. Because all those names threw us off. And this is why scholars say they had to come up with, why does the Hebrew Bible, the Torah, the law from Genesis to Deuteronomy, and the Hebrew Bible is more than Genesis to Deuteronomy. I'm talking about the Pentateuch. Why does it make these abrupt changes in tone, scene, and what we're talking about? We're in the middle of an argument with Pharaoh and Moses, with Yahweh and Moses about Pharaoh and the people. Hey, Yahweh, this plan is not going how you said it was going to go. What gives, Yahweh? Listen, you just go in there and do your job. Yeah, but the people hate me. And the people hate me. From the time that I have come here, there has been nothing but discombobulation and confusion. So can you please tell me what's going on? He's talking to God, or he's talking to a being that sounds very much like a boss. All of these people and all of these abrupt people who are writing these stories and the abrupt changes in tone led scholars to come up with what is called the documentary hypothesis. JP, the J source, which is the Yahweh source, they call it the Yahweh, the people that are Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. E, the E source, people were Elohim, Elohim, Elohim. People who are P, the priestly source, they were the people who were just very, very, very much into the rituals and all the things you see in Leviticus. A, P, E, and D, the Deuteronomistic, the Deuteronomy type of people that were very concerned with the law. So it's all smashed together. Now, the documentary hypothesis says that there are four sources from which that were cobbled together, that the redactors had to cobble it all together. So they did an amazing job if they had to put together, and because they had to put together different versions of the story from different groups of people, it's not coherent and it does not flow. And scholars noticed this from day one, and they had to come up with, why is this? So the documentary hypothesis is, it's a hypothesis, it's not proven. It does give us another way of looking at the Hebrew Bible to say, oh, this group of these things, this group of people over here are writing these things. They're separated by distance. And this group of people had this tradition. Like the Elohim people were all Elohim, Elohim, Elohim. The Yahweh people were like Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahweh. The priestly people were very much into the rituals. And so they wanted to pull this all together, and they did. So that's why you see in some places they had to patch it up. Like, why is it that you were the God all this time, but no one knows your name? Well, I didn't tell them my name. They knew me as El Shaddai. Whatever. Keep going. Just do what I tell you to do. Stop asking so many questions. Because you can see the scribes having to patch up some things. They had to fill some holes. Everyone cannot get an audience. Here's another point, going back to a point I started earlier. Everyone cannot get an audience with the Pharaoh. You can't just walk up to the palace and just walk in anytime you feel like it. That's not a thing. But look at all these people running in and out of Pharaoh's presence. First Moses and Aaron go, they talk, get out of here. And you know what? I'm going to make it even worse for the people. Pharaoh goes, makes it worse for the people. Like, who is this Pharaoh? They say it was Ramses. This Pharaoh doesn't have good common sense. But how did he become the Pharaoh? Most pharaohs did not behave this way. Okay. Then people come. And did you hear the part of the story where the Hebrew people, some of them had been picked to be the overseers of their own people? Did you hear that part? Like in slavery, we would have called that an Uncle Tom. Like, now you work for the slave master? We would have called that an Uncle Tom. We know what an Uncle Tom is. No. So these people, now they go into Pharaoh and they're talking to Pharaoh. How is it that the Hebrew slave masters, underlings that are also Hebrew, can just walk into the palace at any time and talk to Pharaoh? Anytime. Anybody get an audience with this Pharaoh at any time. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. And the other thing I want to say about this story is, if we read it as it is I would say, an elementary exercise to pick the story apart. You don't even need advanced critical thinking skills to pick this story apart. So the fact that they got us to believe these stories by picking out certain passages that they wanted to highlight and keep in front of us to keep us bamboozled. They told us to read the Bible, yet they were counting on us never reading it. And most of us didn't read it all the way straight through, like myself. I was there for 26 years. I never read the Bible straight through. I read whole big portions of the Bible. I read lots of the Bible. I never read it as I'm reading it now, probably because I wasn't ready. Oh, now I'm ready. Oh, trust me, I'm going to get to the bottom of this whole book and what's in it and why they had me in it for 26 years of my life. And guess what? It was well worth it. Because if I had not been in that book for 26 years of my life in the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses, I wouldn't be where I am today. I'm so thankful for my walk and my journey past where I was. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow for the continuation of this incredible story. Peace.